Whereas the San Luis Obispo County District Attorney's Office, Christopher G. Money Victim Witness Assistance Center is declaring April Crime Victims' Rights Awareness Month and is asking our community to join others across our state and nation to celebrate the national theme, Listen, Act, Advocate. And whereas since 1977, crime victims in San Luis Obispo County have benefited from local government and community-based victim service organizations working in partnership to protect and promote the rights of crime victims and to provide crisis and trauma-informed services to assist crime victims to rebuild their lives. And whereas reaching and serving all victims of crime is essential to support thriving communities because those who receive holistic services and support are more likely to remain invested in their communities. And whereas building relationships with a diverse range of healthcare providers, community leaders, faith organizations, educators, and businesses can create valuable connections between victims and the services that enhance their safety, healing, and access to justice. And whereas advocacy by and for victims of crime is itself a form of seeking justice, no less than justice sought in the courts. And whereas the accomplishments of the victims' rights movement achieved through compassion and collaboration and built on the courageous advocacy of individual victims and their families across the country inspire in us hope for a future progress and greater healing. And whereas we are committed to responding to crime and violence by helping victims find not only support, recovery, and justice, but also a sense of hope for their future. And whereas the San Luis Obispo County District Attorney's Office Christopher G. Money Victim Witness Assistance Center remains steadfastly dedicated to strengthening victims and survivors in the aftermath of crime, building resistance in our communities and our victim service providers, and bringing hope and healing to all victims and survivors, serving 9,880 victims of crime in 2025. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the San Luis Obispo County Board of Supervisors designates April 2026 as San Luis Obispo County Crime Victims' Rights Awareness Month, and in doing so, reaffirms our commitment to respect and enforce victims' rights and address their needs this month and throughout the year.
Good morning, Chairman Paulding and members of the board. It's really an honor to stand before you today, although it is also sobering to consider the statistics that you've just heard as we today recognize April as Crime Victims' Rights Awareness Month. Thank you for making this annual proclamation. It affirms to every person in San Luis Obispo County that California's Constitution, through Marcy's Law, guarantees 17 specific rights to those who have been harmed by crime in our community. San Luis Obispo County has a proud legacy in this work. In 1977, 49 years ago, we were one of only 2 counties in California to establish a Crime Victim Assistance Center, thanks to the vision of former District Attorney Christopher G. Money. In 2017, it was its 40th anniversary. We dedicated our center in his honor, so it is, as you proclaimed, the Christopher G. Money Victim Witness Assistance Center, and that commitment to victims has only grown stronger since then. Next year, we want to put you all on notice now that next year we'll be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Victim Witness Assistance Center. But the numbers reflect our collective county commitment. In this past year, in 2025, our office received 11,918 criminal cases. That's felonies and misdemeanors, not infractions. And our victim advocates served approximately 9,880 victims of crime, from domestic violence to sexual assault, child abuse, to homicide, DUI, and theft. Each of those nearly 10,000 victims represents a life touched and disrupted by crime. So to put those numbers in perspective, each of our crime victim advocates carried an average astounding caseload of 823 victims last year. That's not a statistic. It is a profound responsibility, and our team meets that responsibility with compassion and professionalism every day. Later on, during budget time, we hope that your board will approve our budget request to restore a victim advocate that was unfortunately had to be cut last year due to budget cuts. But victims in our community often tell us that they feel overlooked by a system that seems more focused on offenders than on those who were harmed. One of my staff, Nancy Lovelace, told a frustrated victim, it's not called the victim justice system, it's called the criminal justice system. And so that simple truth captures a painful reality. So I ask each of you, if you might remember, I've told you this before, and everyone in the county to change the language that we use. Please join me in calling it what it really should be, the criminal and victim justice system. When legislators, policymakers, and voters hear those words, they'll be reminded that every decision, every reform, every sentence by a judge has a profound and lasting impact on the victim. Justice is not complete until the victim is included. So members of the board, the work of the Christopher G. Money Victim Witnesses Center is a promise that we make to every person in our community. If you're victimized, you'll not be forgotten. You'll be seen and supported by a community that cares, including our partners at the Sheriff's Office, local police departments, probation, social services, Lumina Alliance, CASA, the Center for Family Strengthening, and the Community Action Partnership, to name some of our partners. You will have a voice in the criminal and victim justice system. So thank you for this proclamation. Thank you to our entire team who serves victims. And I want to hand it over real quickly to Director Jesse Yates, who oversees our Victim Witness Assistance Center.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today in recognition of National Crime Victim Rights Awareness Month. As was stated just a little bit ago, this year's national theme is Listen, Act, and Advocate. This is a powerful call to all of us to truly hear the voices of victims, to take meaningful steps to support them, to stand as strong advocates on their behalf. This theme reflects the work we do every single day. We listen with compassion to those who have experienced trauma. We act by connecting them with critical resources and support. And we advocate to ensure their rights are upheld and their voices are heard and never forgotten. Over the past year, the Christopher G. Money Victim Witness Assistance Center did serve nearly 10,000 victims in San Luis Obispo County. What that number represents are individuals and families facing some of the most difficult moments of their life, if not the most difficult time of their life, with each one deserving of care, respect, and support. The mission of the Victim Witness Assistance Center is to work, turn my page, sorry, to reduce trauma, frustration, and inconvenience experienced by victims, witnesses, and family members affected by crime. In saying that, the 9,880 victims were served through our center, and I want to recognize the dedication of our team. With our 2 supervisors, 10 advocates, 3 witness coordinators, 2 California Victim Compensation Board specialists, and 1 administrative assistant, we were able to serve all of those people. Just as Dan said that there's over 800-person caseload, the reason we could only have 1 person come a little bit late today is because the courts don't close for anything, crime doesn't stop, and they're continuing to work right now as we speak in the courtrooms supporting our victims, and that was more important than having them come and support us here today because they can watch it later. Their compassion, professionalism, and tireless work embody this year's theme each and every day. We assist victim survivors and non-surviving victim families throughout the criminal and victim justice system, trying to help to make them have a sense of a very difficult system that is often confusing, very long and tiresome process. Then even ourselves get confused at times because the laws change so quickly and rapidly in the way of the criminal that sometimes the victim has been left behind. My team comes to work every day because they want to help. They want to make a difference, and they have a heart for victim advocacy. I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude to this board for your continued support. Your commitment as a county, because I talk to directors all over the state, and they tell me how lucky I am to have a board like you guys. Because your commitment to always, to us, to carry out this mission and make a meaningful difference in the lives of those we serve is something that I know is important to each and every one of you. I also want to invite you and the community to join us here in these chambers next Wednesday, April 14th, or sorry, it's April 15th, tax day, not the 14th, at 11 o'clock in the morning for our yearly Crime Victim Rights Awareness event. We will be joined by our good friend, Marina Bernheimer, who's the Executive Director of CASA, Court-Appointed Special Advocates, and a CASA volunteer, and Morro Bay Police Chief, Amy Watkins. There will be a reception following the presentations at noon, next door in rooms 171 and 172. And again, this is open to the public, and the reception after is really for our nonprofit agencies and our county governments and our victims and our management to come together and really talk about the issues that we face each and every day. And as we observe this month, let us recommit to listening, acting, and advocating together to build a community where all victims are supported and empowered. Thank you for your time, and please know how much we appreciate you and your dedication to our county, to our victims, and to a better community. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to open public comment on this item. Seeing no members of the public wishing to speak, I'm going to close public comment and bring it back to the board. Would any of my colleagues like to make a comment on this? Supervisor Moreno.
And just say those are very sobering numbers, and as always, I appreciate what you do for victims. I remember the very first time I heard the district attorney call it the criminal and victims justice system, and I really appreciate that, and that has stuck with me, and I hope that that continues to grow and sticks with all of us. Thank you.
Supervisor Pichon.
I just want to thank you for the very difficult job you do under very difficult circumstances. So thank you for all you do. You do make this community a better place to live.
Supervisor Ortiz-Lake.
Yeah. We really appreciate your words and just all the information that you provided, you know, in noting that it doesn't stop and those victims need us all the time and people are over there right now helping them. I mean, says a lot, says everything. So thank you very much and for always being champions for those that have gone through such trauma. And it unfortunately happens way too often and too much every day. Thank you.
Supervisor Gibson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Yates, thank you to you and your staff for bringing such warm humanity to people who are faced with a daunting task of survival and recovery. So appreciate all that all of you do in that regard.
And I'll echo those comments. Always glad to be able to recognize the good work that you are doing and raise awareness, both the district attorney's office and victim witness. So thank you so much. Okay.